Hey everyone, and welcome to this special session where we're going to talk about the Durable Functions Monitor. Yeah, it's a tool designed and created by Konstantin. He was so kind to join me, and he'll do all the explanations and demoing what this tool can do. So yeah, definitely keep watching if you're using Durable Functions, or if you heard about it and say, how easy is it to use? What can I do with it? Then this will be for you. So Konstantin, please introduce yourself and what are you doing?
Yeah, great. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much, Mark, for inviting me into this. I'm really thrilled about being here to be a part of this great initiative called Azure Functions University. And yes, my name is Konstantin Lepeshenkov. I do work for Microsoft, and more precisely for Microsoft Norway here. And I am being called a cloud solution architect here. But even though I am currently called an architect, the thing is that I do still have some substantial lust for code. Probably this is exactly the reason why I'm doing all these things, all these tools. This is basically my way of satisfying that lust, so to speak. So yes, let me please just start sharing my screen.
Yeah, cool.
Right from the beginning. And while I'm doing that, I'll continue talking probably. So yes, definitely. Can you see that?
Yeah, it's being loaded right now. Yes, there we go. Yep.
Yeah, great. So definitely this Durable Functions Monitor of the tool I am working on will be the main topic for our today's discussion. But I was thinking that maybe I should start from a little bit more generic point of view, because the great news is that since yesterday, effectively since yesterday, this Durable Functions Monitor tool includes another tool, and that tool we're currently looking at right now here, and basically it is a tool for visualizing, which can visualize and show any kind of Azure Functions project. I underscore any kind of Azure Functions project to you in this form of this fancy diagram. And typically it looks like this. I have some Python, I believe it is Python-based project opened here. And this is basically how it looks like on this diagram. Again, this is a part of Durable Functions Monitor tool, and currently we're looking at this Durable Functions Monitor as a Visual Studio Code extension. To get this tool, this extension, basically you just need to install it from a marketplace. Pretty easy to find it up there. And so it looks like this. And once you do install that extension, what you can do after you open some functions project, you can just basically go to your command palette and type visualize functions as a graph. Let me just zoom it up a bit. Yeah. Like this. What it does first is that it tries to infer what the current project is all about, the currently open project is all about. If it is open, then it will just visualize that project. It can also accept some other paths and show them in this form as well. For a generic arbitrary Azure Functions project, what it will show you is a list of these functions with. Yeah, I'm sorry. Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's good.
Is it fine? Yeah. So I just continue to show you these diagrams, and for an arbitrary Azure Functions project, it will show you this list of functions in your project and those bindings and triggers that these functions are using. So it is pretty easy to see what that project is actually doing and what it is all about. I will show you a couple of more examples here. For example, this one, it is some sample project of my own. And this one is written in C#. Yeah. And you can also see that this particular project also uses some durable functions functionality. And for those projects that do use durable functions or durable entities, what the tool tries also to do is to infer somewhat the architecture of it. And this is how it looks like for this particular project. We can see that this project uses it has some HTTP triggered endpoints like this one, and it uses Cosmos DB. It also has some endpoint triggered by a service bus queue named orders. It also uses some blob called some file name under some blob container. And some of those functions, they are triggering some orchestrators here, right? And there are also some sub-orchestrators, and there are some activities being called. And even it can infer some information about which events are being used by those orchestrators and how they are being consumed. So yeah, let me just briefly click on it to show you that it really gets rendered properly. Now, just a quick question to you, Mark. What would you expect to happen if I now click on any of these function nodes here on the diagram?
That's a good point, because I did install this tool this morning, but I didn't do any deep dive in digging yet. Can we see then information about the executions or something like that?
I will show you.
I'm curious.
That's exactly what you probably would expect it to do. It jumps to the function code.
Yes, nice. Yeah.
Yes, it allows you to quickly and easily navigate to the code and see what it is doing. And actually, if we take, let's say, this orchestrator, which triggers some activities and expects some event, and go to that code, and yes, we can see that there are some activities being called here, even some activities with retries, and also there is some event that is being awaited.
Nice.
Right,
I love this. Yeah, I love this.
So yes, basically, what I call it, this is a bird's eye view of your Azure Functions solution or project, which gives you a brief and quick understanding, a quick grasp of what the code is actually being doing.
Yeah, I think it's very useful. Yeah.
Now, also I was just recently looking through GitHub, and I noticed there is a guy called Mark Diker out there who is doing these fancy, really exciting and interesting code samples for Azure Functions in those GitHub repositories out there. So I was thinking that maybe we should briefly take a quick look at those samples out there and probably try to understand what they have been doing, and maybe even give them a little bit of a code review.
Ooh, yes.
That'd be okay?
I'm a bit scared now, but okay, yes.
Yeah, code review is never a thing to be afraid of.
No, I always welcome them. I always welcome them. No,
anyway, but let's try.
Yeah, do the visualization.
So by using that same tool from VS Code extension, what it can also accept is these GitHub links. So let's try that out. And there is this sample called durable functions.usecases.notify support in your.
So sorry, you're not cloning anything locally here, right? It just goes out to GitHub.
What is happening right now is that repo is being cloned. This is why it takes a little bit of time.
Okay. I was just wondering how does it work? Okay, right, cool.
Yeah, but once it does so, once the repo is being cloned and sources are there, actually it also for .NET projects, it also needs to do .NET publish to get out of those function.json files. So it might take a little while, a little bit more for .NET-based functions. But anyway, after all of that, you might get a fancy diagram like this. And it really looks great. Fancy. And we can also click on those and see what those, for example, those Google entities are
Entity
being
functions. Doing. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. This one has some signal handlers called set and reset. I'm not entirely sure what that is all about, but anyway, and there is an orchestrator which does signals an entity. Yeah, and it also makes calls to some activities, and it also does a continue as new, means it calls itself in one way or another.
Yeah, thank you very much for adding that. That's definitely a feature request of mine. So, but yeah, it definitely provides a bit more insight of what the orchestrator is doing. So I think this is very valuable information.
Let's try a little bit of more examples here, maybe. Let's say we go to there was some TypeScript samples there as well, right?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, because this well, not this one, the other one, the Azure Functions University. So not this Durable Functions use cases one, but the other one.
Yeah, this one. That's .NET. But let's go to TypeScript instead.
Yeah. But this one needs contains also the Durable Functions folder should contain some the TypeScript folder. Yeah, that's this one. Durable Functions chaining example. Yeah, that was really cool about this tool. So it works regardless of the language, right? Because you're using those function.json files actually to parse out what all the triggers and bindings are and stuff like that.
Yeah, the intention is indeed to make it work for any supported language. Of course, if you experience any difficulties or see any kind of issues for any particular language or for any particular function, please notify me immediately via a GitHub repo, which the link to which I'm sure you were showing already.
Yeah, exactly. I'm now highlighting the DF monitor repo again. Yeah.
So that is the root repo for this whole tool, Durable Functions Monitor, and everything is there. And please report any troubles or any issues down there as an issue, or multiple issues.
Yeah. We get some very good feedback already in the comments. Great tool. People also want to see the actual code that you wrote actually to make this. So, and maybe if there is some time, feel free to show some code. Although people can see it for themselves, of course, in the repository as well.
I believe the easiest way would be to just go to proceed to that repo URL and see what's inside of the tool itself. Exactly. Yes, I will briefly explain how this whole diagram generation works. And basically, yes, it is nothing more than a pretty primitive static code analyzer, which is all about running a bunch of regular expressions against your source. That was this TypeScript function, which has some orchestrator and some activities in it. And yes, indeed, it is being calling those activities from orchestrator. Probably mostly the most comprehensive example would be this one. That is an amazingly comprehensive Azure Durable Functions example from our colleague Jeremy Lickness.
Yes, I've heard about it, but I've never seen it. Yeah. That's a whole game engine thing, right?
He basically created some sort of video game out of durable functions and probably even with durable entities.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. And the question is also being asked from did you try it on PowerShell functions already? Does it also work on that?
Me, myself, no. Please try it out right now.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah, so
an opportunity for that.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, so whatever language you're using, just try out the tool and submit issues and feature requests indeed for Konstantin. Yeah.
I also know that it is not ideal for Java yet because, for Java it would probably only show you the list of functions, not too much more of that.
Okay, right. Okay.
But yes, this is a pretty nice
big diagram indeed.
Let me go to Zen mode probably to show it a bit better.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
To you. So it is a pretty comprehensive architecture which looks amazing, and it is really, really beautiful, right? Once you see architectural diagrams like this, you can be absolutely sure that the underlying code is actually the main way, and the architecture itself is beautiful. And
the code doesn't matter; the lines and boxes say everything, right?
Exactly. You just accept the beauty of these diagrams, and this is you don't need to know anything more about it.
No, indeed, no. But it's good that you use this as a basis for navigation. I think that's a good idea, indeed, because it's very easy now to point out where you want to go and then look a bit deeper into the code. I think this is a good solution. Yeah,
that's a bird's eye view, which allows you to jump quickly to any part of your Azure Functions-based solution.
Yeah, nice.
I promised to briefly explain how it works internally, and maybe I should use some of my examples here. Yeah, it was this one. Just close everything here. Another way of invoking this for your functions project is by going into your host.json file, clicking on it, and just click this visualize functions as a graph button from there. And once my machine unfreezes, it will show you this thing again. Obviously, the whole logic relies on the sources, on the underlying sources, and therefore the sources do need to be somewhat consistent and at least compilable, at least. So, for example, if I just deliberately break something here, like that.
Right, I get it. So it doesn't compile, then it of course can't generate.
The outcome might be somewhat unexpected. But that also proves the point that there is basically no cheating from my side here. It is all really generated on the fly for you.
I think
it's not just a bunch of still images created beforehand.
That would be really sneaky, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, but do you see it in a chart, or if it doesn't compile or something? What do you see in the diagram then? Or just doesn't generate anything, or will it generate something?
It will basically not be able to grasp the architecture, and will show you, let's say, this activity being called, this. It was save policy to DB something. It will show you as a separate function here. So that basically explains that what the tool is doing is that it tries to parse the code, and if the code is somewhat inconsistent, like there is no way to understand how that activity was called, and therefore it just shows it.
Right.
It as a separate node out there.
Fair enough.
Of course, it is not ideal yet. Many things that needs to be improved. For example, it doesn't extract comments from your code base before parsing them. So if whatever of your comments are containing some logic that should not be there, then it will still be visualized here.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So be prepared, please. And of course, obviously, I would appreciate any kind of feedback and probably even contribution to this entire tool, well, to this entire set of tools.
Exactly. Yeah. Like for instance, maybe if it doesn't work for PowerShell, maybe yet or not perfectly, people can contribute and then make. Well, I suggest maybe they first make an issue so you can discuss. Maybe what's not working, but then they can create a pull request. Maybe that would be, I think, nice. Oh.
That would be just awesome. I would really greatly appreciate anything like that. Yes, please consider improving these tools too as well. So maybe we should just jump back to durable functions functionality itself and show how to use durable functions monitor, the core functionality of durable functions monitor.
Oh, exactly, because this is just the tease of the new functionality, but indeed, the whole meat of what it can do still has to be started. So exactly, yeah, let's continue.
Yeah. So again, let's continue using Durable Functions Monitor as a Visual Studio Code extension. Again, you just get it from Marketplace by installing it as extension. And once you do, you will immediately get it visible in your command palette. And the easiest way to run it would be to just start this, type this Durable Functions Monitor command out of your command palette. And once you do, you will be able to see, immediately will be able to see the contents of the task hub, which is currently being opened by your current project, which is currently being used by your current project. Like, for example, here I have this famous serverless MapReduce sample opened. That very well known serverless MapReduce sample, which does some calculations based on some files coming from some blob storage, and it does it in parallel way and then reduces it. Maybe we could even just briefly see at the architecture. At the architecture of it with that fancy graph again.
Exactly.
Yeah. There is a begin MapReduce orchestrator which calls all these activities and then finalizes everything. So I just briefly, slightly modified that sample just to make it runnable without Postman, just to reduce the load to my machine. And yes, just yesterday I was running a bunch of these orchestrations out there. Let us just try to start another one, or to restart another one.
Okay.
Let's take this one, for example. And while I'm doing that, you can basically see the core functionality of Durable Function Monitor. It does show you all these internals of durable functions. As we now very much well know, thanks to you, Mark, and to all of your friends, that Durable Functions is a great extension to Azure Functions. I would even call it not an extension to Azure Functions, but I would rather call it vice versa. I would rather say that the rest of Azure Functions is the extension to the core functionality, which is brought to you by Durable Functions.
I like that
framework, Durable Functions / Durable Entities, because obviously this is an amazing and comprehensive set of architectural, like the architectural tool set that gives you basically all you need for building those services that are known as reliable, stateful, yet serverless services in Azure or in the cloud, right? And yes, it is absolutely brilliant in any way, only if it also provided a little bit of more visibility in what into its internals inside of it and in what it is doing under the hood.
Exactly, yeah, because especially if maybe things go wrong or something, so one activity fails, you want to maybe hunt down what's happening and where did it stop and stuff like that. So yeah, it's quite important.
Yeah, and that is basically what Durable Functions Monitor is all about. It indeed shows you those internals, those underlying everything that goes under the hood. Especially, it shows you those tiny little pieces of data that are being stored internally. Those tiny little pieces of data known as states. And for this particular task hub, yes, I've been running several of these orchestrations just recently. And here's a list of those. And let me just try to restart one of those orchestrations. Yes, you can see you can do all those basic operations against your orchestration instances from there, from Durable Functions Monitor. For example, you can restart it with a new instance ID, right?
Yeah. This is really cool. So it's not only just for monitoring, but since you can use the Durable Functions, its own API, you can also do the termination and restarting, and you can execute all those commands that the API exposes, which is really powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, my machine is frozen again, but I do believe the cloud service that I deployed it to yesterday is still running.
Still running, right?
It is not fast as well because it is under consumption mode, but after a while, we should be able to see this orchestration running. So far, it is, as you can see, in pending state.
It's pending. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And basically, once you navigate to some orchestration from there, you could see all the internals and all the properties of it. Let us turn this auto refresh on.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
To make it more interactive. To this extent, we can make it interactive here. While it is still pending, I will continue briefly explaining this searching, this main durable orchestrations monitor, durable functions monitor view here. So yes, what you can do from here is that you can search for your orchestrations / durable entities out there. You can filter for them. There is quite a comprehensive, well, not quite a comprehensive, but usually enough
filtering options.
Filtering tools. For example, you could only be interested in some orchestrations in some particular state, or maybe you would be interested in some durable entities from here, which I don't have in this particular task hub, but I will show you those later.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, how is our instance doing? Yes, it is now running.
It's running. Yeah.
Great. Plus, obviously, you would get this time range out there, which for this particular task hub will show you something like several hundreds of those instances out there, and there's a infinite scroll of time supported, etc., etc. Yes, you can search and you can sort and you can navigate through those instances there. But let's go back to our running instance here. Yeah, it is now running, and we can also see this list of execution events that occurred against that instance already. But apart from this, there is a bunch of other very useful visualizations here available to us. Let me show you briefly from here. So yes, you can also see this sequence diagram.
Oh, yes.
For your orchestration, which shows you something like this. And you also get this Ghant chart, which looks like this. Because it is still in progress, it is not completed. It is not complete yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we just need to wait for it for a while. And finally, yes, finally it is there, and it looks like this. We can easily see how much time it took, how many activities were executed, and we can also see that there was something like 2 minutes or even more. Yeah, 2 minutes from the start, after which the actual activities were executed, and I believe it is because the instance itself was sleeping.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, well, but this is a great way to also visualize that, right? I mean, this already gives you some clues where to look into.
Yeah, basically this pair of tabs here gives you they contemplate each other and show you basically the whole architecture of your function. Sequence diagram shows you the logical part of it, the algorithm, while the Gantt chart gives you timing.
Yeah, I like those different perspectives.
That's cool. Shows you those timing perspectives. Yeah, just to briefly explain what this diagram is all about, it is all of those are based on an amazing project called Mermaid. Some of you might know that
I've heard about it. Yeah.
And what you can also do is that you can copy the diagram code of this particular diagram. Just to briefly explain, those Mermaid project is it is a tool for doing your diagrams as a code. It has a specific language which you could use to easily and quickly create those diagrams in somewhat human readable form, and then to use them to explain your point to your opponents quickly. So I definitely greatly recommend using that tool. I would just Mermaid live editor and how it looks like there. Yeah, you could easily search for that project and the live editor there, but we can also copy the diagram code into this editor, and then you get everything here, and you can even modify it in the way you want it, and use it as a document.
Yeah, actually,
Azure Durable Functions social.
Yeah, that is really cool indeed. Yeah. So when you copy it, it copies the instructions on the left, so you can render that again with Mermaid. Yeah, cool.
I was also going to show you these diagrams in a little bit more details. What was that task hub I was going to look into? Yes, I also forgot to mention that so far we're using this tool in its easiest form, but for those of you, I'm sure most of you already have this Azure Functions extension installed as well. And once you do, what you also get from Durable Functions Monitor is this tab, which shows you durable functions.
Yeah.
All those durable functions task hubs you have access to. So, for example, this one here is my internal subscription, and there are a bunch of storage accounts there which do have some task hubs in there, and this is basically how you can navigate across all your task hubs and manage them. And there are lots of useful tools here in this tab as well. For example, you could you might want to delete a task hub which is not used anymore, and here's a tool for that.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, so that's something extra that the monitoring tool provides. Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Also, all these important cleanup tools, like tools for purging your history, because in durable functions, all those entities and instances, they are not deleted automatically, so you would need to occasionally do a cleanup, and you could also do that via Durable Functions Monitor from here.
Excellent. Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
So it looks like this. We could try to, let's say, remove everything.
Yeah, you even allowed to select what kind of state you want to purge and stuff like that. This is perfect. Yeah, that's nice.
That is for the last day, and I hope it will do nothing. For me, yes, 0 instances were deleted.
Okay, right.
So that was fine. And also, there is a quick way of going to a particular instance ID from here. So it was, this particular instance that I have in that particular task hub. So you just type its instance ID from there, and you quickly navigate to that particular instance by its ID. I'm showing you this particular instance because it has a little bit of more comprehensive architecture out here. You see it is a parent orchestration which calls some sub-orchestrations with some activities inside of it, etc., etc. And the Gantt chart for that instance would look like this. I'm really sorry for my freezing PC today.
That's okay. I'm still receiving lots of nice comments that this is very insightful and people love this. So please continue.
Yeah. So yes, this is the Gantt chart for that particular instance. You can see it is doing some sub-orchestrations and some activities, and here's the timing of those. And you can quickly understand the bottleneck out of this view here.
Nice, yeah.
Another useful feature, couple of useful features are these tabs, and I will show you briefly them with this particular task hub that I have here. Which is this one.
I like that you have dedicated task hubs to illustrate the different features of the monitoring tool. That's quite clever.
Yeah. So this tab is, as you can see, it is time histogram. Again, it is very much freezing on my machine today, but what it is expected to show you is a time histogram of everything which is inside of that task hub, all those instances. And it basically looks like this. And it is even somewhat interactive, like this. You can zoom into and zoom out of it. That particular task hub can contain something like 20,000 of those instances. And even though
it takes a while to load, then of course,
even though it is pretty much interactive already. So you can continue zooming into and zooming into and zooming into. I'm sure for all of you it will work much better. But once you do, you get this fancy diagram which shows you how many instances of which type you currently have in this time frame, and it is probably the easiest way to navigate to some particular problematic one here.
Nice.
Let's say we go into there. And it was like that. And then you can go back to the list and navigate to some particular instance from that list. You see the time range is preserved. So this is what you get from here.
Yeah, so using the time histogram, you can use it then to zoom into a certain time frame, and then you can switch back to the list, and then you see which ones you zoomed into and get more information about those specific ones, right? About those specific instances in this case. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, let's just close this extremely inefficient task hub. And probably the last thing I was going to show you here was this particular feature, this particular Gantt chart here, which might be of a great use For those of you who have, for example, some orchestrations that are related to each other in one way. For example, you're running some chain of orchestrations which has some correlation ID between them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and what you can do then is that you can filter by some unique number in its input or in any other field of those orchestrations, and then you go here into a Gantt chart, and it shows you those orchestrations as a Gantt chart, like these related orchestrations, so you can see which one was executed before.
Yeah, so
which
now
one
you
was executed
can
after,
follow
etc.,
the,
etc.
yeah. So you can follow the
pretty much
chain a bit more in detail. Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah. Okay. And then you can then filter on anything that's part of the of the payload or something, or how do you do that?
Yeah, all these fields are filterable. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Let's say, I don't know. Let's try. Let's probably go to another task hub, which is more illustrative. Maybe this one.
Yeah, no, it really looks very, if let's say, feature complete already, because the most basic thing would be filtering on the kind of orchestration status, but that's already there. But you've got lots of more filtering options. So yeah, this looks really impressive.
Let's say we're interested in some orchestrations which contain something in their input, and there we go.
Yeah, so now we're filtering for input contains Bob, and then we, yeah.
This is how the Gantt chart of those looks like.
Yeah, nice. It's really a user-friendly tool then to really quickly pinpoint indeed, or to find your issues, or to find certain orchestrations which contain a certain output or something. So yeah, for myself, I really see a huge gain in using this, definitely.
Yeah, that's amazing. Before we jump to other ways of using Durable Functions Monitor, I was going to briefly show you another feature, which are those custom templates out there. Maybe you already noticed it was.
I did not see it yet. I'm very curious.
Yeah, let me go to some recent orchestrations I was running. What was that? Yeah, you see, this tab here is not built-in tab. Don't try to find this particular tab in the out of the box Durable Functions Monitor extension. It is a custom tab which you can create yourself with those custom tab templates, and I will briefly show you how to do that. Let me just again restart this particular instance.
I'm really curious now. Cool.
Yeah. The way you do these custom tab templates is that you create those templates in the Shopify's Liquid language. You know that templating language for templating your HTMLs. Your HTML's very popular language, and you just need to create those files as Liquid templates, and then what you do with them is that you put them into the underlying storage account. So for this particular task hub, I have that storage account, which is here, which was this one, and you need to create a specifically named blob container.
Right. Oh, that's a clever solution. Yeah.
Which is this one. It is called Durable Functions Monitor. You create that container out there, and you put your templates into a specifically named tab templates folder. And this is that template I'm talking about right now.
Okay.
Let's try to open it.
Yeah, I'm very curious what it looks like.
Yeah, and it is a typical liquid template file here. Yes, it outputs some HTML, and what it takes as input is all these fields for this particular orchestration or durable entity, for example. See here we have this history field taken from here. And what we're doing is that we are basically drawing a progress bar of those running activities out of that history. You see, we have a completed task, we have a set of running tasks, and we output them in form of this table here. Let's say we're not satisfied with Coral.
You're not going to change the color.
Let's do it in Azure color and save it. You see, I'm using a Azure Storage extension here just to modify those blobs on the fly.
Exactly. Yeah, that's also indeed a nice demo indeed with this extension. Yeah, cool.
It is really useful for just clicking on it and modifying.
Yeah, for these small modifications, it's fine. Yeah.
Anything in that blob. What we would also need to do is to restart the backend
to pick up that new template version.
To pick up those new blobs out of the storage account. Once we do,
yeah, well, I have to say that this monitoring tool can do a lot more than I originally envisioned.
Yeah, this particular custom templates, they might be pretty much useful for for pretty complicated solutions for those durable functions, orchestrations, and entities that might contain some pretty sophisticated state.
Yeah.
Which you would want to visualize in some fancy way, in one fancy way or another.
Exactly. Yeah. Nice.
And that is potentially that potential extension point for you. And the way you do it is that, again, you just put those custom templates into your underlying the same storage account where your tasks are precise.
Yeah.
And then what you get is this. Pretty much invisible.
The Azure color was not the best choice here, but indeed, it's very easily changeable. And we just need to learn a bit indeed how we can extract the right information indeed from the fields. But this definitely has quite a lot of potential and very specific visualizations for the exact nature of the function app. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, that was basically the main core functionality of Durable Functions Monitor as such. Now let's just jump to different ways of using it, because there are actually many ways of running it.
Okay, show us.
Yes, that was just one way. You run it as a Visual Studio Code extension. If you do use Visual Studio Code, then it probably is the easiest way for you. But there are plenty of other ways. Important to say in advance that yes, Durable Functions Monitor is itself an Azure function. Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
Yes, which means that you can run it anywhere where a typical Azure function runs or can be run. Right. For example, you can run it in Azure. And I do have this instance deployed to Azure already. Don't worry, I will remove it immediately after this session, so don't expect it to be there for a long time.
Yeah.
But this is basically how it looks like in Azure once it is deployed out there. It basically looks pretty much the same. It looks pretty much, it freezes pretty much in the same way, but it looks the same as well. What it can also do once you deploy it out there is that by default it will show you all task hubs in the underlying storage account. Right? Well, again, it is important to underscore that by default it will be all these task hubs that storage account contains. If it is not your intention to expose all of those via this tool, then definitely you would need to modify the configuration settings for this, and I will show you how. Okay. But so far, let's just choose some task hub and go into there, and we would get the same kind of experience here in the browser.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, very nice.
Looks like that, and all the tools and buttons would be roughly the same. So you get all these orchestration fields, all these sequence diagrams, all these Gantt charts, everything out there, and all these buttons here as well. For example, we might want to, no, not here. Let me choose another one.
Yeah, no, but I can definitely see this being used as a separate function, because if people want to have some kind of a internal or even public dashboard or something which is powered by this, then it doesn't make sense to have it just running in your own VSCode, but then it would make sense to have it running in a function app.
Yeah, let's just say that it is primarily internal.
Dashboard.
Again, I do like to underscore everything related to authentication/authorization, that it is really important to not to overexpose all this kind of stuff, because obviously all these the instances and all these states, they might be of a great importance to.
Yeah, it contains all the inputs and outputs of everything that goes through it. So yeah, indeed, this shows a lot of your internal workings.
Yes, please, guys, take your time to understand the authentication/authorization topics around here and configure your instances appropriately. But yes, for example, we could just set a custom status for some orchestration here. So it is like that.
Yeah.
And there we go.
Very useful. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. Let's just jump briefly into the GitHub repo of it.
Yeah, let me also highlight
which is here. Because there you can find the easiest way to deploy this tool into your Azure subscription. And it is basically this fancy blue button called Deploy to Azure.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's very easy. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah.
What that button will do, just to clearly explain, is that it will create another Azure function instance in your subscription. It will be a separate Azure Functions instance in your subscription, and it will deploy Durable Functions Monitor as a set of binaries, effectively as a NuGet package into that instance.
Okay.
So again, it will be a separate instance which will not affect your currently running instances, those instances that are actually doing this Durable Functions stuff on your site. Right?
Yeah, that's important.
It will be a separate instance which also might be not entirely free for you, depending on which kind of pricing tier you choose for it.
Yeah.
Right. So whenever you do, just please keep an eye on the costs of that particular instrument and be reasonable.
That's good advice, definitely. Yeah.
From any point of view, yes. Once everything again unfreezes on my machine, we'll be able to see this ARM template loaded and prepared for deployment. I'm going to show you that because there is a set of very important authentication/authorization parameters that you would need to define there. So please bear with me here. Yeah, and then it looks like this. The important settings here is, like, obviously it would take a storage connection string, which it will be tied to this particular instance. We'll use that Azure storage account and get all, by default, it will get all task hubs out of there. To restrict a set of task hubs visible, you would need to specify them here, let's say.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so you can make just a comma-separated list of all the hubs you want to get rid of.
It is a comma-separated list here, and this is the way you restrict the list of visible task hubs out there. Application package is basically the path to a NuGet feed of Durable Functions Monitor. Nothing to change here. In most cases, you don't need to change anything here. Another important setting is this Azure Active Directory client, application client ID. You would need to create an application to protect this particular instance. You get all these instructions out from here, from this tooltip. It's pretty much clear, I believe. It is basically about creating an empty AAD application and specifying client ID here, but please do so, because by default, the authentication will be on, and if you don't provide the correct client ID here, it will not work, right? Tenant ID is basically your subscription tenant ID, nothing fancy, nothing more fancier than that. And this last setting is the list of allowed user names that would be allowed to access this particular instance, right? Again, you could leave it as empty, yes, but it is greatly recommended that you specify at least your own email here so that the instance is not exposed to anyone from your. It will be available to everyone in your organization, which might not be your intention here, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that is very good advice. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was good to share this in detail.
It is absolutely not necessary to memorize all these things. This is all described and documented in the repo.
Well, and they have no video now, so people can replay this. So, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cool.
Yes, but that was all about deploying it to Azure. You can deploy it into Azure as a NuGet package. You can deploy it into Azure as a Docker container, which is also available. Prefer running it inside Kubernetes. That would be the way to go for you as well. You can also run it locally on your dev box from sources, for example, as a typical Azure Functions function. But also, probably the last thing to briefly talk about is there's a new so-called injected mode, which basically allows you to run this Durable Functions Monitor tool as part of your application. This is basically all about installing this NuGet package, this particular one, from the NuGet feed, and I have this what was it? No, not this one. It was, yeah. Let's use this same example for this exercise. So this is, let's say this is your own .NET based Azure function, and you would want to include durable functions monitor functionality into it and deploy it as part of that. For that, yes, it would be required for you to have a .NET Core based Azure function, because it's NuGet package, and
yeah, you only support the NuGet package. Yeah, sure, understandable. Yeah.
No any other language here would work. So you just need to install that NuGet package into your project, and you do that with this. Let me just open the CSapproach file here, and you do install that .NET package from the feed.
Yeah.
And here it is.
Yeah.
So once you did that, another important step is to do a little bit of required by a durable functions monitor. And it is basically about calling this particular dfm endpoint.setup method somewhere in your code base. Not necessarily as a startup, but it is recommended to do that as a startup like this. Right? So this tiny little piece of code is required, because otherwise the underlying framework will not pick up the endpoints, the durable functions monitors endpoints correctly. It will just omit them from compilation and won't be able to see that. Yeah, once you do so, basically durable functions monitor gets injected in your code, in your solution, in your project, and you will immediately be able to deploy it or to run it. What it will do by default is that it will mount those durable function monitors endpoints at the root of at the URL's root, which might not be the intention for you, because it will by default overshadow all your existing endpoints. So to make it work under some other URL, some other related.
Yes, you can prefix either the route
relative URL path. You need to add this setting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you add this particular setting called durable functions monitor root prefix into your CSapproach file, anywhere in your source CSapproach file. And let's say it will be a relative path with dfmon called like that. And what you can do next is that you can just run. Like you would run your function normally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So now I'm waiting for the list of endpoints indeed.
Yeah. While it is doing that, I would again underscore and point your attention that please don't do this. Especially don't do this in production. Don't disable authentication. Don't set this setting to true. Always protect your DFM and dfmon endpoints accordingly, appropriately.
Yeah, so this is just
either
for
with the application.
Right?
Yeah. For debugging purposes, maybe, but never do that in
no,
production.
exactly. No, just for local stuff. Yeah.
And basically, yes, these are DFM related, durable functions monitors related endpoints injected into your function, and should be pretty much available under this URL right now.
Nice. Wow. Yeah. Very cool.
No, it's not there. Yeah, it hasn't started yet.
Okay. We're too eager. Need to see this. Yeah. It's still running. No. Wow, but there are so many ways indeed to load this, to run this. I mean, oof.
Yeah, once my machine unfreezes again.
Yeah, well, this is also a hint for everyone watching. Okay, please try this yourself. What's your experience, and let us know how this works. Yeah, what we see it need starting now. Yeah. Yeah. So what
while it is doing that, final thing. Please go ahead.
Go ahead. Now, I was wondering what would you recommend, right? Because people are, I see, creating lots and lots of function apps now, but you now have an option then to include this in your function app. So would that be a recommended route, or would you say, okay, maybe it's better if you put up a separate Azure Functions instance and only use that instance for this monitoring purpose?
Yeah, again, it is absolutely for you guys to decide which option works better for you. In general, the general observations might be that yes, when running it as a separate instance, you would be paying for that instance, most likely, right?
Yeah.
While running it as part of your instance provides the benefits that you are not using any extra computing power.
Indeed. Yeah, and I'm also thinking because I also see these clients using separate storage accounts and then also separate task hubs, and then it will not make sense to just have one separate Azure Function instance doing the monitoring, because you have different task hubs spread over different storage accounts. So then you really need, or if you want to use this, then you really need to have this included in your own function app.
Yeah. Again, at the same point, if you include it into your instance, into your running instance, it most likely will be tied to that particular task hub. But if you are using multiple task hubs, maybe it would be a better choice for you to run separate monitoring instance, which allows you to go into anything within that particular storage account.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, nice. Yeah, I'm very curious to meet how people
I got hit
are
by
going to use this.
Okay,
that's okay. That's okay. We've already seen a lot, so that's fine. Yeah, I definitely encourage everyone to try this tool. I'm definitely going to try it, and I'm definitely going to try it in different ways. So I already have it up and running in VSCode, but I also want to put it in one of my running function apps to see how that's going. So yeah, we should just experience a bit more with it, right? And then give feedback to you on how it's going. Yeah.
Absolutely, I would be really absolutely amazed and really grateful for any kind of feedback and responses from you guys. And please file any bugs you might be experiencing with into GitHub repo. And again, please consider contributing to this project. Even contributing to this project. Again, to underscore, this is an absolutely open source project. This is an open source tool which is freely available to everyone, which means that it is not Microsoft product.
Exactly.
It is not even
though it's just a coincidence that you work for Microsoft, but indeed, this is not a Microsoft product. Yeah, so it's just your own blood, sweat, and tears went into this. So indeed, it would be great.
You got it right.
Contribute. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. No, I'm showing the GitHub repo again, so please, people, have a look at this. Yeah.
Basically, that was the rest of what I was going to show you, and I'm not sure it will unfreeze in a reasonable amount of time, so I'd probably
this is fine.
Stop sharing.
Yeah. No, this is this is
at least it showed some of initial screens here.
No, we're good.
So trust me that it works in that. Oh no, it isn't in there. Yeah, it jumped to the correct task hub immediately after that.
All right.
You see,
yeah.
You see it here.
Yeah.
The one which the underlying storage, the underlying instance is tied to.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah,
wow.
Cool. Then I will probably just stop sharing right now. If you
that's fine. I'll need to go back to the view just showing us. Well, thanks, Konstantin. This was even more than I expected. Well, as I mentioned just before we started, I just downloaded and installed the tool today for VSCode. Here's the link again for VSCode, and that already works very nicely. So yeah, thank you for your excellent demo, because we've seen so much, and I would encourage everyone to please download the extension, and also we have to try the NuGet package option, and try the standalone Azure Functions option, and please send all your feedback to Konstantin, because yeah, it would be great to give this a bit more exposure and to get this really off the ground. I think it's very valuable to have a bit more insight in how the orchestrators are performing, especially the time chart. I think is very valuable to see. Okay, what is the time distribution of my orchestrations? So there's lots of very useful information to get out of this tool. So yeah, if you're really serious with the durable functions, then I think this is a great addition to your tool belt.
Not just durable functions, as I tried to underscore right from the beginning.
Exactly. The functions as a graph, that is a super addition. Yeah, thanks very much for that, indeed. Yeah, and I'm curious what else you will come up with.
I can see also.
Oh, yeah, now you're breaking up.
I can also see some questions in the comments tab. Right?
Yeah.
Still here?
Yes. Yeah. So most, you're audible again. So a lot of compliments on your work, and most of the questions I forwarded already. So did we try this on the PowerShell functions? Not yet. So please try it. And comments about the MermaidJS that's been using it. Some feature requests. So I think Antoine asked, "Okay, can we maybe generate these diagrams through the command line?" Because he wants to.
Yeah, actually, that was my. That was my intention to answer that question as well, because actually this particular diagram generation tool is also available as a separate tool. Yeah, on my GitHub profile, you can see it there as Azure Functions as a Graph repo. And it is basically there, and you could technically use it as it is an Azure function itself. You can run it and somewhat integrate it into whatever you want it integrated into. Let us discuss maybe a bit more in in the comments or in the issues for that.
Exactly.
Repo.
Yeah, no, we can discuss it further.
Which would be the best way of doing that?
Yeah, that's good.
I'm sure that would be I'm sure that would be a great alternative to doing this all things interactively. What I was also thinking of is to include this diagram generation tool into Durable Functions Monitor, not only as a Visual Studio Code extension, but also into a standalone version of it.
Ah, right.
That
Oh, audio is breaking up again.
as a standalone. I do hope it will be also available as a standalone tool there. And that would basically give you a way to generate those diagrams for your current functions project, which is running durable functions monitor inside of it.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be another way of using it. And if you have suggestions of how to do that even in some different ways, then yes, please file a bug, file an issue onto Durable Functions Monitor or into Azure Functions as a graph tool out there.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Well, showing the link here again for the final time. I think we have a pretty clear call to action. So yeah, thanks again, Konstantin, for your time and for your very detailed guide through this tool. Yeah, I'm very curious how this will end up and how it will be used. So thanks, and see you until next time. Bye, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Mark. I do hope it will work much better on your machines.